Women's 3-meter springboard, and Kelly McCormick has moved up into second place. She was in third after the first dive. Now she has moved into contention with Megan Neyer for the gold medal. And let's go. Kelly McCormick is out there right now, and here is Jim Nance.
That's great.
Probably after the required dives or whatever.
Stand by, guys. Go, guys. Go, guys. Turn it.
So here are the standings through 2 dives, and we are looking now at Kelly McCormick, who has scored 8.5s and 9s on her first 2 dives. Phil Boggs, and off to a terrific start here.
They were great dives, both of them, Jim. She is confident, strong, looks good diving. We've got up this time a reverse dive in the pike position. Remember, these first 5 rounds of dives are easy dives. They're demonstrating their basic skills.
Very poised and relaxed to this point. She has really hit those first 2 as we...
She's looking over right now at the referee for a whistle. Once they announce the dive, the referee blows a whistle indicating the diver can start. The diver can't start before that whistle.
How much concentration does she lose here?
It's a break, but you turn around and focus again. Sometimes it's relaxing. Another great dive, John. Just a little bit past vertical, but what a jump off the diving board.
Kelly McCormick, at age 25, Olympian, silver medalist at 84. And 8.5s and 8s for Kelly McCormick.
Remember, in diving, anything better than a 7 is good. Watch her jump off the diving board. Way up in the air, touches, and just a little bit over rotation at the bottom, but a great dive.
Let's take it back now to our broadcast center, and here's Brent Musk. A 4th round of diving here, and as expected, the Americans are 1-2. Megan Neyer leading. Kelly McCormick is second. This beautiful complex here, really the state-of-the-art aquatic sports facility in the United States, and we have Debbie Fuller right now on the 3-meter springboard. She's currently 3rd right now, and we're in the 4th round. She's from Canada and has competed internationally for a long time. Will be attending Ohio State University this fall.
And this is a back dive, Jim. Back dive in a pike position.
For this dive, we'll do a replay or something, and I'll show you the standings.
Another good dive by Debbie. No surprises here. First 3 are as expected right now.
Debbie Fuller. Her sister will be competing here in the platform later in the week. Her scores 7.5s and 7s. They'll throw out the 8 from the American judge. Good round.
See the divers go over and talk to the coaches in between dives. Get a little pointers what happened, what they need to do.
So let's get everyone up on the standings now. This was through 3 rounds. Megan Neyer leading, Kelly McCormick second. We just saw Debbie Fuller 3rd coming into this round. Now this is McCormick.
This is an inward 1 1/2 somersaults in a pike position. She'll somersault towards the diving board. McCormick and Neyer have been playing Can You Top This? And that was great. Neyer got 9s for her round. You could see some more here for McCormick. Another great dive.
Let's explain that in the first 5 dives, Phil, there are some requirements on the part of the divers.
What the divers do in 5 rounds, look at those scores, some 8s and some 9s. As they demonstrate their basic skills, they go each of the 5 directions you can go off of a diving board. And see Kelly getting some coaching there. This is an inward somersaulting towards a board. Watch the entry straight in, the last thing the judges see.
That dive by McCormick, good enough to put her in the first place now, ahead of Megan Neyer, through 4 rounds here at the Pan Am Games. And we'll return in just a moment. Welcome back to the women's springboard final here at the Pan Am Games. This beautiful facility here, the Indiana University Natatorium, where in the next 8 days we're going to have 4 diving finals. Of course, the great one, Greg Louganis, will be competing here. And in the swimming competition, 32 events, including Olympic gold medal winners Mike O'Brien and Carrie Steincypher will be here. Now through 4 dives, McCormick has taken the lead over Megan Neyer, and Neyer is ready now to begin the 5th round of the competition.
This is round 5. It's the last round of the easy dives. Meg's last dive is an inward 1 1/2 somersaults. That's what we saw Kelly finish up round 4 with. They can do them in any order. That's the only strategy that's allowed in this particular part of the competition.
And once we get to round 6,
Then you see optionals. They do their most difficult somersaulting and twisting dives. Another good dive. A little bit over rotation. Won't be the 9s, but at least 8s. And remember, in diving, anything better than 7 is good. So that was another very good dive.
Good scores, too. They'll throw out the 9 and the 7.5, and 50 points total for Megan Neyer here in the 5th round.
You can see the same advantages for both Neyer and McCormick. Both are very strong. Both are very quick. You can see 1.5 somersaults straight in on the entry.
Coach Ronnie O'Brien, who, of course, coaches so many members of the United States team,
including Greg Louganis, and is our head Olympic coach for 1988.
Megan and Kelly both seem so relaxed at this point and really coming through at this point. Now Vivian Alberty from Puerto Rico, 14 years old.
And really in a different league in this competition, Jim. Neyer, McCormick, Fuller, a number of them are veterans of major international competitions. She's just a youngster and really is getting an education watching them dive.
She finished 2nd this year in the Central American Games. Vivian Alberty talking to her coach Hector Bass, who you used to compete against.
Hector used to dive in Miami, used to train there, and competed in many international competitions representing Puerto Rico.
Elsa Tesoro from Mexico City. She competed in the Olympics in 1984, took 6th in the 3-meter springboard, 7th in the platform. So she's competed quite a while, 24-year-old.
Also competed in the 80 Olympics and competed internationally. We've seen her in competitions for at least the last 10 years. A veteran, is a good diver, not a great diver. And she had one absolutely disastrous dive early in the competition, knocked her way down in the standings. It's almost like spotting everyone 20 or 30 points.
That unfortunate dive was in the 3rd round for Tenorio. Here, good scores, including an 8.5 from the Colombian judge. That'll be tossed aside along with the 7 from the United States, times the difficulty factor of 2.1. And good.
This is what the judges look at, that approach to the end of the board, the takeoff and how high they get, the dive in the air, and the last thing is the entry. A lot of splash on the entry, but everything else was very good.
We saw Debbie Fuller earlier from Canada. Her teammate, 23-year-old Jennifer Tisdale, now up on the board.
We're going to go to commercial after her dive.
Jenny was runner-up to Debbie Fuller in the Canadian Nationals. This is a forward 1.5 somersaults with 2 twists. That looks like a difficult dive, Jim, even though it's in those early rounds. It is, but she has chosen to do very simple dives and one more difficult. As long as at the end of 5 rounds they're all even on that degree of difficulty, it's okay.
Tisdale 8th coming into this round at 7.5, so 7th for Tisdale here. She attends Concordia University in Montreal.
Watch the start. She's going to start the somersault, open up, put 2 twists in, and finish right straight in. A good dive.
All right, Phil Boggs. So Jennifer Tisdale with good scores as well. In the standings here, we are in round 5. Kelly McCormick leading it over Megan Neyer. Debbie Fuller is 3rd. We're almost through 5 rounds. Of course, round 6 will begin the option dance along with Phil Boggs. We're at the Indiana University Natatorium in the women's 3-meter springboard final. Right now, Kelly McCormick and Megan Neyer locked in another duel. We're looking at Angela Ribiero from Brazil, who is 4th coming into this round.
Angela, like many of the foreign divers, is training in the United States.
South American champion.
It's a front 1 1/2 somersaults with 1 twist, a simple dive, and yet she was just not quite to vertical. Must be to vertical to get those good scores in these early rounds of competition.
Ribiero getting 7.5s, 7s, 42 points for her.
Versus those top 3 in the competition. That's going to push her further down in the standings, further away from a medal.
Now this is Debbie Fuller of Canada, who is right in the thick of it with Megan Neyer and Kelly McCormick.
And her 5th dive is a reverse dive in a pike position. Reverse direction is where you go down the board forward and dive back towards the diving board.
She's already won the Canadian Championship this year in the 1-meter springboard, 3-meter springboard, and the platform.
And that was a very good dive. You know, she has been training at the University of Florida, where she was an All-American with Megan Neyer. This year, their coach left, and she's moved to Ohio State and will be training with Kelly McCormick before the '88 Olympics.
Good scores for Fuller here in round 5, including 8s.
Watch this reverse direction. You walk down the board forward. You rotate back towards the diving board. Later on in the competition, you'll see him go that same direction with 2.5 somersaults. See, coming at you and going the other direction. Very nice entry.
That brings up Kelly McCormick. A little short on that one, Phil.
A little bit short, but still basically 5 for 5 on the first 5 rounds of competition. She's going to stay right close to Neyer with that one.
Neyer has already excelled on her dive in the 5th round. McCormick picks up 49 points, and she'll stay in first through 5 rounds.
But it leaves them virtually tied going into those optional dives. Watch the power. You saw Fuller go off the diving board. Look how much higher McCormick gets. Just opened up a little bit early, just a little bit short of vertical.
All right, we're through 5 rounds. It's McCormick followed by Neyer. Let's go back to the CBS Broadcast Center. Neyer has already attempted her dive here in round 7.
Yeah, this is her 7th dive. It's a back 2.5 somersault pike, the most difficult somersaulting dive used by a woman in competition backwards. And watch the finish. Little bit short, but pulls it around and ends up with a great entry.
Right now on the board is Angela Ribiero from Brazil, who is in medal contention 4th and only 12 points behind Debbie Fuller of Canada for 3rd.
And you can see we've moved into degree of difficulties at 2.8, 3.0 now.
This is where the fun starts.
Absolutely.
Divers can attempt any dive they choose. In what order?
Just a little bit of splash on the entry, but otherwise a good dive. We talked about the strategy in this competition. They've got to go from the 5 different types or directions you can go off a diving board. They've got to do an optional from that. From there on, it's open season. They pick which one, and they pick in what order they can do it in. And what's funny is Neyer, or interesting, is Neyer and McCormick have picked the same order to do theirs. This is the reverse direction. Land on the end of the diving board and somersault 2.5 times back towards the diving board. A lot of splash on the entry. Good straight up and down.
Debbie Fuller of Canada.
Now she basically needs 6s on this dive to move past Ribiero and to stay in 3rd position.
32 points out of first through 6 rounds. She would need a couple of really big dives to get back up there in the chase for the gold or silver.
After Neyer's dive, she'd need a virtually perfect dive to move up to gold or silver right now. Straight in, but barely finished the dive. You saw Neyer and McCormick earlier complete their somersaults almost at diving board level. She completed hers right at water level.
She moves past Ribiero with that dive. 6.5 for Debbie Fuller.
Watch when she does the somersaults. Not the same kind of jump that Neyer and McCormick have. She just gets open before she hits the water, and in fact, she's a little short of vertical.
Now, Kelly McCormick, gold medalist in this event in Caracas in 1983. And she, what will she need here? 69 points to take over the lead from Neyer.
That's 8s, all 8s, and she's going to get 72 points and move ahead by a fraction. Same dive as Neyer did, a very good dive. This is going to be close, Jim. That looks like maybe 7.5s. Put Neyer in the lead this round by a little bit. She's looking at the scoreboard as we are, waiting for the judges to post the total. That's her coach telling him, I'll take it. That is a difficult dive. Same optional that most of the men use in competition. These are 2 strong women divers.
She is 0.6 of a point behind Megan Neyer. And I didn't think you could get any closer than 1.2 points after 6 rounds, but they've done it.
This is just, can you match this? I said, can you top this? It looks like it's, can you match this? It's almost a replay of Neyer's dive. can see her somersault back towards us, pull into that tight pike.
So we have 3 rounds remaining. Boy, what a competition we have. Let's go back to the broadcast center. Jim Nance and Phil Boggs back at the Indiana University Natatorium, and we're again through 7 rounds. Megan Neyer leading Kelly McCormick by 0.6 of a point. McCormick now ready to dive in round 8.
Same dive that Neyer used earlier in the round.
Oh, she ripped that one.
That was a great dive. She may move into the lead this time.
Neyer scored 8s and 8.5s, and we are talking again, folks, a difference of 1.3 points. Neyer will stay in front.
All that,
just behind.
All that means is a half from any judge along the way made the difference in that 1 point, because it's multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Look at that height, 2.5 somersaults above the board. Just a little bit of splash on the entry, but a great dive.
I was like a foot back from the end, and I'm like, oh, shit.
McCormick and Debbie Fuller of Canada.
Well, they'll be training together next year for the Olympics, each hoping to represent their country. This is Ayala of Mexico. It's a back 2.5 somersaults in the tuck position.
Ayala, 18, former world age group champion.
And a good diver, but still more at the age group caliber level than the senior level. She's not quite in the league of Neyer and McCormick, who are clearly among the best divers in the world.
So again, Phil, we're through 8 rounds, and of course 7 judges here. And the difference, after all of that, is a mere 1 point, which would be equivalent to 1/2 point from one judge somewhere along the way. So Neyer and McCormick, it's virtually a photo finish at this point through 8 rounds. And Megan Neyer has been leading off the rounds, diving first. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage, Phil?
Well, in a way, it's a disadvantage because she has to go first and set the stage for everybody else. She's made the mark for everyone else to follow, but she doesn't have to have the opportunity to see what they've done to know. But with McCormick and Neyer today, it's just been, can you top this? I'll do a great dive, can you? And she's done a great dive, too, each time along the way. And the fun part about the finals is they're doing the same optional dives in the same order. This time, it's a reverse 2.5 somersaults pike, a 3.0 degree of difficulty, the hardest dive either of them will use in competition.
Oh, no.
That's a first miss by either of them. But again, McCormick has the same dive later in a round. It's a tough dive. All they have to be off is a fraction of a second in their timing.
Neyer is kind of the hard luck story in women's diving. She qualified first for the 1980 Olympic team. Of course, that didn't go. She was the 82 world champion, but missed out on the 84 Olympics and the 86 world championships.
84 and 86, she did the same thing. 86, that exact dive cost her a berth on the 86 world team. You watch what happens in the takeoff. Everything looks great right here. Let go just a little bit early. Boom, on her back. Fraction of a second off. That's all it takes.
Headings through 8 rounds. Megan Neyer leading by a point over Kelly McCormick, but again, Neyer has missed her dive essentially here in the 9th round. Phil, I'm curious, do you think that McCormick is aware the divers go into a back room? A lot of them don't really talk to each other. Do you think that she is aware of the situation here on Neyer's dive?
Both of them claim that during a competition, they disappear off into the back room, don't pay any attention to the scores, don't pay any attention to the other divers. They're just performing. But with this packed house, they can't help but know what's going on when they hear the crowd roar for a great dive and moan for a bad dive. And with Neyer and McCormick up until this round, it's been one roar after another. In the last round, just a little bit of a moan. This is Christy Ramos. It's a back 2.5 somersaults in the tuck position. Now, Christy is trained this summer at Mission Bay with Megan Neyer. And that was awful. You know, again, it just shows the level of competition. This is a world-class competition, and it shows you how good McCormick and Neyer are when they can do those difficult dives consistently good.
3.5s and 4.5s for Ramos from Puerto Rico. She ranks 9th at the moment.
Watch, she's going to somersault 2.5 times backwards. Watch in the start. All looks okay here. Not very high in the jump. lets go way too early.
McCormick still waiting for her turn. 3 divers ahead of her. We're really looking at our U.S. squad for the '88 Summer Games, aren't we, McCormick and Neyer?
I think you've got 2 outstanding veterans who are among the best 3 or 4 divers in the world. The United States is a current world team champion in both men's and women's diving. So we are tough, and these are our best. Lori Roberts is doing a back 1 1/2 somersaults with a half twist. Again, this is a dive that's really more done by age groupers in a beginning level. She is out of her league in this one with Neyer and McCormick.
Megan Neyer now will have 1 more dive left in the competition, and she'll have to hit that one, especially after scoring 4.5.
She's got to throw away that other dive and think.
Just relaxing with the music. Trying to regain the composure after the miss.
McCormick's concentrating on this particular dive. We go back to Neyer, whose undergraduate degree was in psychiatry. She's in psychology. She's in graduate school in psychology. And one thing that she claims is her biggest problem is paralysis by analysis. She outthinks herself, and that causes her to miss. And here in the contest, it was rolling along great. She may have psyched herself out of the last dive.
Phil, this girl here, Ribiero from Brazil, has a chance at a bronze. She's currently 4th behind Debbie Fuller from Canada.
And if you remember Neyer and McCormick, both of them for their forward optional chose to do 2 1/2 somersaults. She's the only girl in the competition doing 3 1/2 somersaults. The only woman in the world using that in competition today. Although Neyer and McCormick both have done it in training.
Scores were not that good.
Well, see, the judges judge the performance. They look at what she did and said, this dive is so-so for a dive. They let the degree of difficulty take care of what happens. Pretty good jump, but watch in the finish. Her legs come apart, she's short of vertical, gets a lot of splash. All those things cause the judges to take points off. The degree of difficulty will be multiplied by the score, and that will make up for how hard that dive was compared to the other ones.
21-year-old Debbie Fuller from Canada in 3rd.
Just a shade short of vertical, but a very good dive. You could see on her dive versus Ribiero, the legs were tight together, a nice stretch, a good line for the finish, just a little short of vertical. And again, you see the scores that she's going to get out of that. 7 1/2s, all in the good category. Anything better than a 7 in diving means it's a good dive.
So that'll bring up Kelly McCormick. Let's take one more look at Debbie Fuller now.
She's going to start somersaulting forward, open up, do 2 twists. You can see her feet were a little short of the end of the board. Could have gone in a little, gone to the end and gotten a little bit higher.
Many people know her mother, Patty McCormick, a 4-time gold medal winner, and here in attendance today.
Same dive that Neyer did. Better than Neyer's, but didn't step in and close the door completely. There's 2 dives left in the competition. We still have a competition. She's looking for the scores. You can see 6 1/2s and 7s.
Patty McCormick in red looking on, and that'll give McCormick a 21-point lead.
You can see her coach giving her all the details, what she did on that one. Watch the difference is McCormick in this dive is quicker than Neyer. She's got the somersault done higher and actually over-rotates just a fraction. You can see her coming at us, somersaulting back the other direction. Look how high the somersaults finished. She is powerful and quick.
Yeah. We got inward? And quick.
There's Kelly McCormick with Debbie Fuller. 1 round left in the competition.
Ain't over yet, buddy.
Now, what must Megan Neyer do here? Their final attempt, Phil.
concentration. She's got to divorce herself from the crowd, from the rest of the competition, and from what she did in the past, and put a great dive in and put the pressure on.
She has been training nonstop for a year. She told us she has not been home in over a year, and she's leaving from the Pan Am Games to go back to Ashland, Kentucky to visit with family this week.
And maybe put a little too much pressure on herself to come back and win. But her final dive is her bread and butter dive. This one, even when she's had her ups and downs, she very rarely misses, and will put the pressure back on McCormick.
21-point separation.
But remember, with these dives at 2.8 degree of difficulty, 2.9 degree of difficulty, a 20-point turnaround is very possible.
8 national titles for University of Florida. I guess you can't do any better than that.
8 NCAA titles, 8 in a row. That's all you can do. There's 2 events in NCAA competition. This is a back 1 1/2 somersaults with 2 1/2 twists. Great for a final dive. Again, that's going to be 8, 8.5. McCormick's going to have to miss for, say, 6s to make this contest change hands.
Right on the money there, Phil. 8, 8.5, so 9 will go out from the American judge, as well as the 7.5 from the Cuban judge. 69 points for Megan Neyer on this dive, Phil.
Total of 544, which is a great 10 dive total. Watch she start somersaulting, 2 1/2 twists, and straight in. Just a little bit of splash at the bottom.
So Megan Neyer comes through in the final round after missing in round 9, and Kelly McCormick will be back to defend her title after this. She'll need 48 points, a little more than 48 points, Phil, to win it.
That's from the judges' 6s. She gets all 6s and it's a lock, but the contest isn't a lock. She has got a very difficult last dive, and it all depends on how good she gets off the diving board. And Megan knows. You can tell watching, she knows.
It's Christy Ramos of Puerto Rico, 9th in the competition. Not trying a very difficult dive at this point.
No, it's an inward 1 1/2 somersault. You saw McCormick and Neyer do 2 1/2 somersaults the same direction. With McCormick and Neyer, you have 2 of the most powerful women divers in the world today. They can do all the most difficult dives and do them well. With both of them, the difference between winning the Olympics for McCormick, who was runner-up, it's all been one of consistency. This is the inward direction. Each of them had to have done optionals in this direction. It's 1 1/2 somersaults. And right straight in, but a little bit of splash.
Roberts, the Bahamas.
And the Bahamas can enter the competition, but she really is not a senior level diver, not a finalist in any of the major national or international competitions in the United States or in the world. That was 2 1/2 somersaults forward, only a 2.2 degree of difficulty. Every one of the girls in the competition, other girls in the competition, have done 2 1/2 somersaults. Pike or Angela Ribiero did a 3 1/2 somersaults forward.
Angela Ribiero of Brazil is next, and she comes into this final round only 5 points out of 4th, well back of Debbie Fuller for 3rd and the bronze medal, but still possible 4th here for Ribiero.
And this is an inward 2 1/2 somersaults. We saw earlier 1 1/2. This is 2 1/2. And a good last dive for her. That could move her up into 4th and really put a little bit of pressure on Fuller for the bronze medal.
Debbie Fuller will be next, then it's Kelly McCormick, who again must look at a dive of 6.5 to win the competition and take it away from Megan Neyer.
But what she's got to look at is the difficulty of the dive she's doing. She has to concentrate on that dive. This is 2 1/2 somersaults inward by Angela Ribiero. A little backed away from the diving board, finished just on top of the water, but straight in.
have to be the most anxious moments for Kelly McCormick in this position.
Well, you heard her just a second ago say, "Go Debbie." They're going to be teammates training in Columbus this fall for that Olympic year. Same dive we just saw, 2.5 somersaults in the inward direction. And a good last dive for Debbie Fuller. Should be enough to keep her as the bronze medalist.
Debbie Fuller of Montreal. 6.5s for Fuller.
.491 total, which is a good total. 500 is really the barrier for the top international competitors.
And McCormick will be next. And here she is.
It's a reverse 1 1/2 somersaults with 2 1/2 twists. She's going to walk down in a forward approach, somersault back towards the board with 2 1/2 twists. There's your winner. That was great.
Megan Neyer looks on. Kelly McCormick will win the gold medal. Mom Patty. The United States hopes for 1988.
And if they both dive like that in '88, they should be medalists again. Watch the takeoff. This is all important in this dive. It's getting on the end of the board and up in the air, and she's got the dive done above the board.
Let's take a look at Megan Neyer now watching as McCormick attempts the final dive and winning dive.
She knew as soon as she saw it. There was no doubt.
So Kelly McCormick, 25, out of Long Beach, California, now living in Columbus and attending Ohio State University, has won the gold medal here in the women's springboard.
That's her father's.
Let's take it back to the studio right now, Phil Boggs. Here's Brent Musburger.
Marvelous. Ribiero Fuller of Canada captures the bronze for her country. We're going to be going back out there shortly for the gold medal ceremony. In fact, we have an interview with Kelly right now, so let's go back to the natatorium.
Right now, we're standing with the winner of the women's 3-meter springboard, Kelly McCormick. Congratulations. Your score, 564, absolutely demolished the previous Pan Am record held by you. Your feelings about your own performance today?
I'll take it. I was consistent. Verticality is the name of the game. I lit on my head 10 times, and I'm really happy with it.
Now, the door was opened for you in the 9th round when Megan missed her reverse 2 1/2. Did you see that happen? Did you realize that was an opportunity?
No, I was in the bathroom when it happened, and I don't really watch anybody else. I just try and do what I can do, and then when the smoke clears, see what happens.
Which one dive were you most proud of?
All of them. It takes 10.
Well, that's the important thing, I guess. Congratulations for you. Thank you very much. The final standings, of course, McCormick was the winner and Megan Neyer is second place. Canadians got the 3rd place medal. And
of the United States, the silver, and Debbie Fuller of Canada collects the bronze. Sold-out crowd of 4,500 on hand at the Indiana University Auditorium, where later today 5 swimming finals will take place. But the spotlight now belongs to Kelly McCormick. There will be 3 more diving competitions here. The women's platform, the men's springboard, and the men's platform. And it's expected that Americans will collect gold in all 3 of those events as well. Of course, Louganis favored in the men's competition, both events. And in the women's platform, Phil, I guess it would have to be Michelle Mitchell.
Michelle Mitchell was World Platform Diver of the Year and is outstanding and is rounding back into that championship form and should be expected to win here and should be expected to medal, if not win, in the Olympics in '88.
McCormick and Neyer have been going head-to-head for over 9 years. And the difference today really came down to 1 dive in the 9th round.
Jim, was one of consistency, and this is very exciting and very encouraging for the United States. Kelly did not miss a single dive. She does that in the Olympics, could end up with the same medal.
Kelly, incidentally, will be leaving soon for the Soviet Union, where a team of U.S. divers will be competing against the Soviet Unions in a dual meet. She says she's looking forward to that traveling experience.
Sports Organization, President of the United States Olympic Committee, accompanied by Mr. John McCormick, President of the Amateur Soviet Union of the Americas.
Las medallas serán presentadas por el señor Roberto Manuel, que es el presidente del Comité Organizador de los Juegos Panamericanos, y el señor Manuel es acompañado por el señor John Howard, presidente.
Kelly, at age 25, says she will compete one more year, and when asked about competing past the 1988 Olympics, she said no.
Pretty tough training that they have to go through. They do running, they do aerobics, and everything else to get in shape.
There she is, your gold medal champion, Kelly McCormick. Dr. Robert Hamlet, president of the U.S. Olympic Committee, presenting the gold medal to McCormick. When Megan was pressed about competing next year in '88, she said she wasn't sure, but you have to think, Bill, she has Olympic hopes.
She's pushed hard to make a comeback after not making the team in '84, and I think inside she's looking forward to '88, although on the outside she says nothing's guaranteed.
Debbie Fuller, who pressed the Americans in this competition and collects the bronze. This moment here belongs to Kelly McCormick. So a 1-2 finish for the United States in the women's springboard competition. Kelly McCormick winning, as she did in 1983. Megan Neyer collects the silver, and Fuller with the bronze. We'll be back later today with 5 finals in swimming competition. But right now, let's take it back to our broadcast center, and here's Brent Musburger.
All right, Jim, thank you. Meanwhile, for the United States baseball team, they have rallied in the 7th inning. They've put runners on 2nd and 3rd. In fact, they have just broken through on a base hit, and they have managed to tie the top of the diving world. I'm amazed at the longevity. We see youngsters come in, and they take over in all these sports, and you just keep on going.
Well, they're pushing me pretty hard. They keep me on my toes. It's hard to say. I think it's individual, you know, how long you can stay around. And, you know, I still feel good. I feel like I'm getting stronger and getting better.
Does the competitive edge still drive you? What's kept you going, being at the top of the diving world this long?
Well, my coach, Ron O'Brien, keeps my sight on my goals, and he reminds me of that the goals that I've set for myself are pretty big, like breaking 800 on 3-meter springboard and breaking 700 on 10-meter platform, which I've done in the past. I've done it twice. I want to continue doing it consistently.
We want to take a look at you on videotape. I'm wondering, do you go back over your old performances, your great Olympic triumphs, and take a look at them and see how you can improve on certain dives?
Occasionally, I'll look through it. This is reverse 3.5 from the 1984 Olympic Games. It's something that was really a special time for me, because when I hit the water, you enter complete silence. And so it's an eerie feeling, and then you come up and you hear the crowd roaring for you. This is my front 3.5 pike from Olympic Sports Festival, and I received 6 10s and 1 9, and I was really pleased with that.
You know, you really have been like an artist, for those of you who've enjoyed you through the years. Did I read recently that you are now taking up dance, or that you have been doing that and you'd like to go into it, or was that the figment of my imagination someplace?
Actually, I've been dancing longer than I've been diving. I started when I was 1.5 years. I was performing on stage when I was 3, singing and dancing. And I will be making my professional dance debut in Indianapolis in October with Dance Kaleidoscope.
So you perhaps have a great future in that ahead of you, too, after you finally give up winning gold medals. Are you going to go in Korea and win some over in Seoul?
I hope so. I hope to qualify. First things first, got to qualify for the team. So.
That's right. And next thing is tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, right?
Right. Tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock.
Tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. All right, Greg. Congratulations and good luck. It's been a great career so far.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, let's...